Hello, this is Watch All About with another watch review, and in this review we're looking at the Spinnaker Croft, one of their new releases. So let's get right into the unboxing. So here's the rather underwhelming box. Let's just get it out. Okay, here we are. If we open it up, here we have the watch itself. A little cushion, have a little tag here, waterproof leather, and then a bit of paperwork inside as well. So not really the most exciting box, but I suppose it does the job, doesn't it? Let's just shove all this to the side now. So let's discuss the watch. So whilst the box is rather underwhelming, the watch itself is very, very good, in fact. I'd go as far as saying this is probably the best Spinnaker watch I have handled yet. So that's obviously saying quite a lot. Let's start off with some of the specs. So price-wise, it's $320 or £225, and for that much, you get this. This Spinnaker watches are all water-based. So this is classed as a dive watch, although it's on a leather strap. The leather is water-resistant. However, I personally wouldn't get it too wet because leather never seems to really behave so well with water. Size is 43mm in diameter, so it is a fairly decent size. I've got a 7¼ inch wrist approximately, by the way. Height is a fairly decent height as well of 14.5mm and a lug-to-lug length of 51mm. So it is quite an impressive looking timepiece on the wrist. But you know, 43mm it's probably as big as I personally would like. Any larger, 44mm, is starting to get a bit crazy big. But it doesn't look tremendously huge on the wrist. It's all reasonably well compact in design, so that's quite a good thing. And I suppose the lack of crown protectors as well keeps it all quite neat and tidy as well. Weight-wise, we've got a weight of 110 grams, and that's on the leather strap, so it is pretty weighty. It does feel good quality on the wrist as you're wearing it. Obviously, it's a diver watch, so the water resistance rating is 15 atmospheres or 150 meters, so you can go diving with it. However, I wouldn't go too crazy deep, just in case. It has got a screw-in crown and a screw-in case back though, so it should be pretty well protected. Lug width is 22mm, so I think that's a suitable width for the size of the case and the shape and the design and everything like that. We have a 2-year warranty, which is a good length of time, much better than the 1 year that you would expect. Movement is a Miyota 8218, so a pretty good sturdy movement. And with this one, it's coming in at plus 11.5 seconds a day, which is probably a little bit too out for my personal liking. I like to see automatic watches kept within 10 seconds a day. Having said that, it is extremely easy to adjust if you wanted to try it out yourself. Okay, so let's have a look at it in closer detail. So starting off with the dial, so it's available in a variety of colours. This one is obviously sort of like the brown root beer kind of colour, which I personally really like. Something a little bit different about it, but still really classy with its colours, especially when you combine it with the gold accents on the dial. So I think it all works really nicely together with the brown strap too. So first thing to note on the dial is that, as you can see, it has this really nice texturized base to it. But it's also got a slight sunburst feel to it as well, and that's done with the colour. So it doesn't look like it's a faux sunburst, which is a good thing, even though it is technically different colours from the centre going to the outside. But it does just look really nice when you look at it. Something a little bit different about it really catches your eye, but also the legibility is really good because of how bold the hands and the hour markers are against the base, which obviously is good because it is a dive watch after all, so you do want it to be pretty easy to view when you are diving with it. Not that many of us would be technically. We have a subdial, a second subdial. If I just adjust the time, so here we have. I'll just change it to a nice happy time. Our subdial our second subdial is located 4.5, 4.30 approximately, and as you can see, it has a nice um, concentric circular pattern on it as well, which is really detailed, really nicely done. And then apart from that, the only other very neat detail is the little border around the date window. As you can see, date wheel as well is looks like a very, very dark brown, so it doesn't match the dial perfectly. However, it's much better than a white date wheel. We have our applied logo, which it's not quite as deep as I would have hoped. I do like to see nice deep applications for logos if they are going to be applied. However, this is a little bit on the light side, which is a shame because it doesn't quite match the quality of the hour indicators. If you can see really how deep and thick these hour markers are, really high quality, really good. It's just a shame the logo doesn't quite match up to them. The hour markers have this gold border to them. The loom is very, very good as well, actually. As you can see here, I'm in bright daylight, and you can see it glowing already. So that's a really positive plus that I've not noticed on Spinnakers before, the loom being this strong. So that's another really impressive improvement they've made. The hands, as you can see, have a slight brushed texture to them, which again is really nice and unusual. Very thick, very bold as well. So really nicely designed, and I really like the overall aesthetics of the dial. So moving on to the case then, I've been very impressed by this sapphire crystal. If you tap it, it's really thick. It gives a really decent thud, but it also has this ever so slight dome around the outside. Creates a little bit of distortion around the outside, but it also brings forth a lot of personality to the general viewing of the watch itself. I really like it compared to just a flat sapphire crystal. However, you do have to be aware that it does sit high above the bezel. However, it's flawlessly merged with the bezel, which is a really nice touch. Just beware of hitting it because sapphire crystals are prone to shattering. And we have our applied cyclops as well over the date window. So that's very neatly done as well. So just be careful of hitting that. The bezel is just aluminium printed with a loom pip at 12. The action is okay. There's a little bit of wiggle to it, as you can see. I can ever so slightly wiggle it like that. But apart from that, it's pretty neat. Got decent grip as well, easy to use. So that's a positive. Looking at the case then, pretty standard shape really. Got some nice downturned lugs, so it does fit snug against the wrist. Spinnaker is very deeply engraved on the side, as you can see. So that's a nice touch. That does appear on all Spinnakers, but it's just really nicely done. It's not laser etched or anything. It's a deep engraving. It's primarily brushed on both sides, and then we have polished shoulders of the lugs and fully polished bottom of the lugs as well. The case back is fully brushed also. The crown, as you saw earlier, it's a screw-in crown, so I managed to unscrew that and adjust it nicely. Decent thread, no issues there. And the Spinnaker logo is very nice and accurate and deeply engraved as well, which is a nice touch. No laser etching here. So moving on to the case back, these details are all really deeply engraved also. So the case as a whole, really good, close attention to detail, really high quality construction as well. Exhibition case back as well. It's not mentioned whether that's mineral or sapphire. I'm not entirely sure. However, it's not going to get scratched or marked or anything like that, is it? Miyota 8218 movement has the stock rotor, but with what looks like just a sticker on top. Obviously, it's nothing too exciting, but it's nice to see they've made the effort of customizing it rather than using just the basic stock rotor, which is very, very boring. It's got some decent pearlage on the top bridges as well, as you can see, but we'll have a look at that in closer detail with the macro lens shortly. Moving on to the strap then, really nice like oil-based finish to it. It is easy to mark, but I think that just gives it, a little bit of a um, decent flavour to it, if you will. Um, and it just seems really well wearing. I've been wearing it for a while now, and yes, there is a very slight crease coming along to it, but it makes it look like it's a decent, well-used strap, and I think that all adds to how nice it looks, really. These keeper loops all really decent, well cut as well. Decent edging, as you can see, nice and thick strap as well, good leather, good quality, and it has a nice matte feel to it, which goes with the appearance, really. And I think just the colour just goes perfectly with the entire watch, as you can see. I mean, it just goes seamlessly, especially with the dial. It's matched perfectly, so a really nice strap to go with it. And then if we move on to the buckle, Spinnaker, as you can see, is really deeply engraved on there as well. So again, very high quality and close attention to detail. So let's have a look at it in even closer detail with the macro lens. Alright, so starting off with the dial. So here's the, let's just get a decent angle. There's the logos. You can see it's a little bit light. I much would have preferred a deeper, better quality logo. However, if we look at the hour markers, we can see just how thick and deep they are. Really high quality, really well made as well. Some print work on this texturized bottom base of the dial. Oh, getting a bit overexposed here. Okay, cool. Right, let's look at this. There's the seconds sub-dial. Really decent pattern on that. Nothing to complain about at all. Our hands as well, with the brushed finish to them. Decent, well filled with loom and nice and accurately made and constructed as well. If I just adjust the timer so slightly, we can check out the date. There we go. There's the date window there. Nice little border to it, very neatly done, and our date wheel within it as well. Okay, so moving on to the bezel. Here's the insert. It's got a bit of a texture to it as well, which goes nicely with the dial. The grip, as you can see, polished but decent as well. Then moving down to the side, here's our brushed side with Spinnaker, nice and deeply engraved on the side slab. And then we have this top corner of the lugs, the shoulder, nice and polished. Just a quick look at the crown. There it is with the logo nice and deeply engraved. Obviously it's picked up a few little tiny scratches as I've worn it, but that's the kind of thing that can't really be avoided. Moving on to the case back. Again, these details nicely engraved, nice and deep. And the movement itself, so here's the rotor with this print work on it. Nothing too exciting, but never mind. Here's the pearlage on the bridge. If we flip it over, you can see our movement ticking away there. There we have it. It's fairly neat as well. Usually Miyotas you get a bit of grime or grubbiness on it, but this one's a pretty good specimen. Moving on to the strap then. Here's our top. As you can see, really nice like a texture to it. And our sealed side. You can see how thick the leather is as well. One of our keeper loops, made in the same exactly the same leather, so much as well. And then moving on to our buckle, there's the logo, really nice, accurate and deep engraving on that. Okay, so I started off the review by saying just how impressed I was, and that this was one of the best Spinnakers that I've ever seen, and I completely agree with my initial statement. Just the entire overall feeling of it is one of a quality I've not yet experienced from Spinnaker. Everything about it really well put together, really nice. And in fact, I personally don't think there's any extra improvements that can be made apart from maybe the logo being a bit better applied, a bit thicker. Everything else is really, really impressive for the price, and I really like the design as well. I think they've done a really great job on it. When you're looking at it, I think the slight dome to the crystal makes quite a lot of difference visually. I think that really makes it stand out and makes it look more luxurious than it really is. So that does a really good job. I just really like the colour scheme as well, and the slight texture to the dial base. Some people maybe not so fussed on that, but for me, I like it because it's a little bit different, and they've executed it really well here as well. Stuff like the loom being stronger than I'd expect. Just the general display of workmanship on the case and the dial as well really, really impressed me. So I have been pleasantly surprised by this, and it is certainly the best Spinnaker I've ever handled so far. And just the weight of it as well, it feels really good quality, nice and thick as well, as you can see. So everything about it is pretty impressive. So well done to Spinnaker for really making a massive effort with the Croft. So for $320 or £225, I certainly think the price is on point. Everything around £200 for an automatic with sapphire crystal, that's completely reasonable. So I think £225, tiny bit more, but you are getting a decent, solid, well-built watch for that. I do know Spinnaker sometimes do some discount codes, offer codes as well, so you could probably get it for a little bit cheaper, which will be even better deal as well. Okay, so this was the Spinnaker Croft, and that's what it's all about. And don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel as well, please. Okay, see you guys.